Hi guys, this is Marcelo Titi and welcome back to our channel, Out Nigeria Hustle. If you're new on the show, please don't forget to click the subscription button and the notification bell to notify you of new and exciting episodes we bring to you every week. With me on the show is Anthony Ogbole. He's an award-winning entrepreneur in the technology and agricultural space. We're grateful to have him on the show. Stay tuned and enjoy the show. Our viewers who don't know who Tony is and what you're about, because we followed you. You have such an interesting profile, and would like to know a little bit about yourself. So if you tell us, feel free to blow the trumpet. That's what we do here.
Okay, like you said earlier, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in the agriculture and technology space. And the last 7 years, I've built 3 businesses that are doing so well in the poultry value chain. In terms of the usual go to school thing, I have a first degree in international business and finance from United States International University in Kenya, and I'm currently an MBA student in food security at Business School Netherlands. I think, and then about a little bit of certifications, awards, and all of that around. So some of them. But basically, what I do is I sell chicken, meat, and eggs.
We're humbled by that. Okay, let's start selling chicken and eggs. Okay, Tony, did you always want to be an entrepreneur? If not, how did the journey begin? And if yes, what was the motivation?
Well, I don't think I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. The first thing I wanted to be was to be a soldier so I can become the head of state of Nigeria, actually. So, I grew up during the military era when you have government by fiat. Someone just comes and say, I suspend the whole institutions of state, I suspend National Assembly, and I'm not head of state, So I went to command secondary school. So I did a bit of military training a bit. When I was younger. Yeah, I'm still young. So when I was younger. So and I felt the only way to present when I was younger was to plan a coup. When I was younger, I would tell my younger brother to
coup.
Yeah, that's the reality that I had. That's what I grew up into. And then I would tell him to stay my back as my ADC, and then I wear big dresses, maybe without my dad, and then make a speech and all of those things. I did that when I was still younger. When I was in secondary school, what I wanted to become was an engineer. And why was because I had an uncle then who was probably the most traveled in our family then. He worked in Chevron. So I felt, okay, I want to be an engineer. I want to be like this guy. So I wanted to study mechanical engineering, what he studied as well. But unfortunately, when I went to school, I didn't do mechanical, I didn't do sciences. I went to do accounts and commerce and all those other stuff. And eventually, I found myself studying banking and finance in a diploma level. I did a bit of 3 years stints in banking. And then my first degree was international business and finance. But while I was doing banking, I wasn't struggling with it. I was doing it very well, quite well, but I wasn't getting fulfilled. Banking was where you're supposed to go to work very early, maybe 7:30 you resume. I'll go to late to work, I was doing it, not that I was not doing it, I was not dull, I could do it, but I wasn't really, I was tired of it, I wasn't getting fun. It wasn't working the way I wanted to work. I knew that was not where I wanted to stop, but I didn't know what next I would do. And then eventually I resigned in 2009, and then I went to Nairobi for further studies. Okay. And while I was in Nairobi, I saw things differently. Like usually what I do is when I go to new places or environment, I imagine what is going on there. I observe people around, what do they do different from where I'm coming from and all of that. And what I saw was agriculture in different light. The idea that we sold to us when we were growing up was that you need to go to school so you get good jobs. It's those who don't go to school, who are not educated, that become farmers in the countryside, in villages, and they are probably poor and they're illiterate. And the thing was that we didn't figure out that the food we eat is produced by those people. So even if you work in an air-conditioned office, you're a banker, you are an engineer in oil and gas, you have all the money in the world, you can't eat the money. You seem to eat food. Someone has to produce the food. That was a disconnect. So I saw agriculture in a different light in Nairobi when I was in Kenya, and I saw those who are farmers. The farmers we were sold to was ones wearing torn clothes and all of that. But I saw farmers who are actually entrepreneurs, farmers who are leading multi-billion businesses, exporting tea, cut flour, coffee, and all of that out of Kenya to Europe. So I was like, this is factually farming. So why the lie to us, And then eventually,
a big lie.
And then in 2011, I saw that 2011 I experienced this African drought. About almost 1 million people were died, and about some millions were displaced in the Horn of Africa. So around Kenya, I think Somalia, Ethiopia, and all of that, they had some bit of drought at that region. And that time they were begging for food aid. So it occurred to me again, and I said, two things involved. If you're begging for food aid probably from Europe or from North America, South America, any continent of the world, it means that the farmers there have grown enough food or produced enough food to feed themselves before they can export to you. That's one. Secondly, I did international business and finance, so I have an idea of international trade, and it's done majorly in US dollars. So meaning that the farmers who are exporting their food from their country to your country are getting US dollars, they're getting foreign exchange. So I'm like, okay, so why are you saying farmers are poor? Because if they are poor, who are the ones earning the foreign exchange when they import food to your continent, So that was it for me. And then I started doing my research in agriculture. And I discovered at that time in 11, 12, that Africa imports about over 30 billion US dollars worth of food every year. So that was it for me. So I was like, okay, there's money in this thing. So who sold this light to us? So that was my first idea of agriculture. Now, the entrepreneurship part came in when, while I was also graduation from college, I worked for an impact accelerator, a Danish consulting firm in Nairobi. And while I was there, we're working with entrepreneurs. So those who have ideas or early stage ideas, they just come around, we guide them, tell their stories and help them to raise funding, build businesses from their ideas. So that was my first 1 year experience while I was interning there, working there, to get an exposure to entrepreneurship. So when I saw this and I was like, okay, this is what I should be doing. I want to do this thing, That was when I felt, okay, I should be doing this thing. So I said, okay, if I want to do this thing, where do I start from? I've seen an opportunity in agriculture, right? That's exciting. So, and I believe that at that point is, if we actually invest properly in agriculture, do it properly, we'll create jobs. Unemployment issues around the world, but in Africa is actually higher. We can create wealth for those who invest in those businesses. And at the same time, we feed ourselves as a continent. So if you're feeding yourself, you can create jobs, you can create wealth along the line. So let me go for agriculture. And yeah, I think that was it from 2013. So when I came back to Nigeria in 2013, I started writing my first business plan. And then I started the first business in 2014. And then since 2014 till now, I've been doing the same thing.
You said, okay, agriculture, there's money there. I can make money here. I can do something. Why poultry?
So a lot of, it's not just about the money, right? But the money is important. I say it everywhere. Money is important because without the money, sustainability is far from you. If you don't make from anything, it's not sustainable. You can't continually repeat and serve the customers you're serving. So money is important, but at the same time, I think if you provide value first, value attracts money. So value first, then money comes after the runs after value. So why poultry? In terms of agriculture, I decided to be an entrepreneur. So not just agriculture alone. So tomorrow you can find me doing in other sectors I like, because the core thing about it is that why I decided to be an entrepreneur was I figured out myself, I think it was in 2011 or 12 thereabouts, and I said, what do I want to do with my life? And I defined my life purpose to create and support platforms for individual freedom and economic opportunities. I explain that quickly. So whatever you see me do, it's either I'm creating something or I'm supporting something that has been created for individual freedom, meaning that anything at all that can make people attain the peak of their potentials or economic opportunities, creating jobs and wealth. So poultry, agriculture is very wide. There's a livestock part of it where you have the poultry, cattle, cows, goats, and all of those things. There's aquaculture where you have fishes and the sea life, and then you have farming. So I felt which was easier to go into, which is the one that has the greatest impact. So I felt let's go to poultry because for my research, if a poultry farmer thrives, the impact across the value chain is very huge. So for instance, what we do is there are crop farmers who produce grains for feed manufacturers who produce feed for chickens. Mm-hmm. So if we are thriving, means there are crop farmers who are thriving.
Correct.
If you are thriving, means there are feed manufacturing companies thriving. Correct. Those businesses have investors, have employees, all of that. And then because we're thriving, there are hatcheries, those who produce the day-old chicks. Now, there are those who produce the parent stock that produces the eggs for the hatcheries. They're also thriving. And then again, you have those producing vaccines and drugs for the birds. Then it comes to us producing the real chicken and the eggs, the farmers. Now, for those manufacturers to reach us, they go through distributors. So those distributors along the value chain also are employed. Then again, there are transporters in between who move those logistics guys who move those things from one location to another location. They're also in business. Then when we're done producing, there are market men and women who actually resell or retail what we produce to make a bit of profit before it gets to the table of the consumer. So I felt poultry had a very huge value chain that is very impactful, and at the same time, it's very quick. So you can see the impact of what you're doing as quick as possible. So from that subsector of agriculture, you can now move to other ones, maybe backward integration, other subsectors in the value chain, and make other impact. But poultry for me was because it has a huge impact and it's quick to see the impact that poultry is. That's why I chose poultry.
You have 3 businesses across the poultry value chain. Some people struggle to succeed with just one business. How do you juggle 3?
15, 16, I had challenges at the beginning. So challenges of access to markets. I also lost my startup capital then in 2015, and not because the money was disappeared, was because we actually invested more in infrastructure than the working capital, the operations of the business. So that's why I tell budding entrepreneurs that if you're going to any business, what you need to do is ensure that you spend more of the money, bulk of the money you have or capital, into income generating parts of the business, not into infrastructure or aesthetics, making your office very beautiful, have ACs and all of those things. Those things don't bring customers, don't bring income. So spend more money on what brings income, not on aesthetic or infrastructure that doesn't bring any money to the business.
Really?
So eventually I was able to get the hang of the business, I think 2016, 2017, thereabout. And then I have other farmers who approach me and say, oh, this thing you're doing, how are you doing it? So I tell them, okay, there's a vaccine protocol that we follow. We actually developed ourselves that we use. And I say, follow this procedure. It works for them. And some are going to say, I have mortalities, I have issues, I have this and all of that. And I'll tell them, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And it works for them. And then there are guys who also see the results of what we're doing and they said, I want to invest in your business. So because we didn't actually want to distort the model that we had, so we said, okay, there are these farmers who actually need this knowledge that have actually experienced over the years building the first business. There are those who actually want to put their money in poultry farming, but they are scared of mortalities. Yeah. They don't have the time because of their 9-to-5 jobs, and they're looking for alternative investment platforms where they can put in their money. So we said, okay, let's do something else for them. Let's make a convergence where these two people can meet, and then we're going to be brokers in the middle. So ePoultry, basically electronic poultry, just the name, and is a platform leveraging on technology, mobile and web apps, to ensure that we connect those in the public who want to invest in poultry farming, and then those who actually need the money to do the farming themselves. And then again, because there's risk involved, so we're like probably de-risking investing into agriculture. And at the same time, farmers also have challenges. And the challenge the farmers have is that they always say is lack of money, lack of funds. But traditional banks don't give loans to agriculture, most of them. They decided to do that now, but they didn't do it because they felt it has high risk. Second was the issue of farmers don't see what they do as businesses. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm an agri-business person. I'm not just a farmer. I understand the business of farming. So there's farming, there's business of farming. There are two different things. Producing food and having the business of producing food are two different things. They're not the same. What we're basically doing is that a platform where those who want to invest come to that platform, they put in their money, and then we de-risk it and ensure we buy inputs for farmers with that same money. So farmers don't have to bother about access to finance issues. It's solved for them. Then access to skill. They have also a problem of improved skills. So what we can do also is train them, share our own, what works with us, our vaccine protocols, our ideas, what we do, our process and all of those things, so they can thrive. And then the last part was the last business as well. While people will think of, produce, you have money to produce. Another thing from small business owners don't think about is the market. So that you produce or you're in a business or you're selling anything is not the issue. The issue is that are they buying it? Are you selling? And are you selling profitably? Yeah. So we felt access to market was another challenge farmers had, or they have. So we felt, let's create another business that actually focuses on access to market for farmers.
Yeah.
So just on producing, focus on processing, whatever you want to do, then we just focus on helping you to sell. So the third business, Chicken Palace, basically, actually was actually inspired by the COVID-19 pandemic, actually. So we created an online platform, chickenpalace.ng, where people can order for chickens, chicken products, eggs, and all of those things, and have it delivered to their homes. And then in September, after the lockdown, we followed up with our first chicken outlet, a physical outlet. So Chicken Palace basically is an access to market business for poultry farmers, both online and physical retail stores. I started that one as well. The third one, focus on access to markets. So in the value chain, one business focus on production and processing. The other one focus on bridging the gap between farmers and financing, solving finance problems. And the third one, Chicken Palace, focus on access to markets for them to sell. And then how do I juggle the three businesses together? I think the first thing is they are related. One thrives with the other. That's the first thing. Then the second, how do I do is that I'm heavy on structures. I'm heavy on building a business that will outlive me. So I'm not building a business. So that's another thing I will say again is that there's a difference between being self-employed and being an entrepreneur. They're not the same thing. If I'm self-employed, I'm doing something to give myself income and it ends with me. So if I'm not there, if I'm gone, the business also is gone. But an entrepreneur is people who build structures, who build systems, who build people to ensure that those things can thrive when they're not there. So I think what has made me manage them is because I've had this knowledge of building systems, structures, and people. So we have those who head those businesses that are there. So what I basically do is manage those people. So it's very easy to say, I just manage those people, it's easier to say.
Very difficult.
It's actually difficult. But there was a time I was actually doing it myself. I was making eggs, giving them feed, buying these things and all of those things. But I grew out of it. And another thing again is that why you have to grow out of it for business owners is an entrepreneur is person or a CEO is someone who is strategic in nature. You are focused more on strategy than operations. So if you start a business at the beginning part, you are involved in operations, day-to-day runnings. How do you buy? How do you sell? How do you buy? How do you sell? But as a CEO, you're supposed to grow out of that and go into strategy and growth. So you're thinking of how do I get enough resources for them to sell? How do I ensure that there are enough people to manage this business? How do I ensure that they can grow corporately? We are growing, individuals are growing. How do I ensure that they are thriving? How do I ensure that I can attract more investors? How do I ensure we can expand our market share and all of those things? So that's what you're thinking of. So you have already groomed people to handle the daily operations, and then you shift into the part of strategy where you can also now manage those people. So my job basically is more of managing people than managing the business itself. So managing people indirectly, also managing the business. So for me to juggle these things together, I think it's not easy. It's actually very tough, but we'll keep building, investing in structures, investing in people, investing in systems to ensure that, they thrive when we're not there. And finally, again, in technology, I also look at ways to do what we do better. My son will tell you, my person will tell them, life is too short to be struggling and suffering. So I'm always looking at ways to ensure that we improve our processes. Because we're doing farming, doesn't mean that we should be archaic and just be at the. So I'm looking at our waste management system, trying to improve it, ways to manage our beds, improve it, the ways we sell to our customers, improve it. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about our buying experience in our chicken outlets. So improve it to ensure that when people come around, they're just thinking that we're just buying chicken. They should have a feel of being taken care of. Oh, these guys have us in mind. Then they come and become repeat buyers. So if you're heavy on structures, on systems, on people, building those things, it's easier for you to run a business. So that's how I run 3 businesses together.
On your e-poultry platform, do you sell birds that you grow your own birds, or do you have farmers who supply you also? Do you have other farmers that are not under your umbrella who supply, who are part of that chain? Or is it just the chicken from your farm?
Okay, so as of today, over 90% of the chickens we sell are not from our farms.
That's interesting.
So our capacity cannot manage the customers. There are times we run out of chicken and eggs. So then in terms of the chickens, the idea of e-poultry was to ensure that we work with several farmers. So we are democratizing the poultry value chain.
Yeah.
ensuring that people can participate. So a farmer that is doing, let's say, 100 beds today, with our partnership, with the funds on the platform, when people invest those funds, we can use those funds to buy more inputs for the farmers. And then at the end of the cycle, we take from them, process, and sell. So that's the value chain. So when you provide funds, we use the funds to buy inputs for the farmers so they can increase whatever they're producing from 1,000 to 2,000 and so forth. And then we now take those birds from them, and our access to market business sells them. So that's the value chain. So we grow some of our chickens ourselves. We have farms. Currently have 2 facilities. I'm actually working on the 3rd one. But at the same time, we have more farmers we work with around the country, from Umuahia in Abia State to Port Harcourt in Rivers State, Benin in Edo State, far as Ibadan in Oyo State, Warri in Delta State, and some other in Bayelsa where we're located. So work with farmers in those several states to ensure that they have enough inputs to produce more to service the market, and then we can have more so to sell to our customers.
How do farmers who want to get in touch with you, what do they need to do? People want to come
basically send an email, hello@ipoli.ng, or call the number on the website, ipoli.ng.
For many people, the only politician they'll ever meet is one from their locality. But you've been a guest of 3 presidents. How does it make you feel?
It has given me a lot of platforms. But meeting presidents, meeting diplomats, meeting top government functionaries, a lot of those people, I think it's a privilege, right? It's a privilege that nobody should take lightly. But at the same time, I think while I was doing this from the beginning, I didn't set out to say, okay, let me do this so I can meet presidents, so I can get awards and all of those things. I didn't do that. That was not in my mind. Mine was just, there's a market for this thing. Let me do entrepreneurship. You can create businesses, create wealth, and all of this. That was what I was doing. But meeting people, I think one has to be gracious about it. Meeting those people is just provide value, actually. And when you meet those people, put yourself out there. Also be a person of value. You don't have to be a parasite. So if you build networks, you're giving to the network, you also get value from the same network as well.
Exactly.
I think that's
exactly. Yeah, I think it's very important. Most people isolate themselves and they don't understand the value that networking brings, and you can't move forward if you isolate yourself. I mean, I like to pick people's brain. People that are older than me, younger, I ask questions like, tell me, honest, I want to learn. That's how we grow. You can't grow if you think that, I've arrived and that's it. You need to learn from the people before you and the people coming behind you, because they know something that you don't know. That's very important. So not just about taking pictures, but picking their brains, trying to understand what makes them think, and trying to say, I'll apply that to my life. So, man, even if you met President Obama via Zoom, I mean, I love the man. He inspires me.
Actually, during the meeting, I think the one of his staff, one of the foundation staff then actually briefed him about our business. So when he was talking to us, making a speech, he actually spoke about our business, and I was like, oh wow, he talks about our business. I was very excited.
Great. So you compare to other parts of the world, you've lived in Kenya, you've worked everywhere, almost everywhere, not everywhere completely, but you have an idea, an international view of how business is done globally. So in comparison to how business is done in Nigeria, how would you place it? How would you compare Nigeria to other places?
Nigeria is a different entirely in this world. So there was a time I was having a conversation with one of our board members. He's actually also my lecturer at my MBA in business in Netherlands. And what we always say to us is that if you're trying to do business in Netherlands, don't consider political risk. It's a non-existent risk. For them, they love stability. They don't change their leaders. So you can say someone that's Prime Minister of the Netherlands is there probably for 10, 20, 30 years. The special person is there. So they don't change policies anyhow. They don't just change leaders. They love stability. So in that kind of place, if you're doing business, you know you can predict what will happen. You know how the policies are, what will affect your businesses, the tax regime, and all of those things. It's easier. But in Africa, and especially Nigeria, a president that has come after somebody's turn and come and change all the policies and discard everything and do something he wants to do. So some of these decisions are not stable. Some of them are based on their emotions or their personal, how they personally feel, So doing business in Nigeria is actually very tough. The environment is actually tough. It's very tough, really tough, because there are many things that are not present in terms of regulations, in terms of law protecting you. Multiple taxation is there, and then the quality of people, because as a business person, you need to work with people. The quality of people they also have here, because the skills gap, the skill set people have, there's a lot of gap. For instance, there's drone technology now, there's a lot of programming and all of those things. Some of those things that are actually working now are not taught in our schools. It's not in curriculum. Nobody gives a degree in drone technology. They are still doing,
I hear you. What you just said reminded me of my last case, and he said exactly the same thing. That they developed like a drone that sees that a pest is going to come, and the drone, has the ability to make sure those pests don't, take roots in your crops. But like we don't have that, so the pest comes, we don't see it.
yeah.
And so combining that together.
I don't know. I don't think we are just so terrible as well, but there are good parts to Nigeria. And the good thing about Nigeria actually is that because of these many challenges and these gaps, there's a lot of opportunity. Exactly. There's a lot of opportunity. So doing in business in Nigeria is actually tough, but at the same time, I think it's also exciting because it's a peculiar, different environment. So that's why if you're building a business in Nigeria, you don't go and pick up the business book of someone in the US and say you want to do this and build in Nigeria. It's totally different. Mm-hmm. Our managers are different. The way you approach the market is totally different. So you have to understand the environment of the business you're doing or the economy you're operating in to do it. But it's challenging, but at the same time, it's also doable.
You say successful entrepreneur in Nigeria, you need to shake his hand, because there are a lot of things, that can, just frustrate you, make you want to give up. But you're so resilient. You're like, nope, I'm going to break that door down.
Someone can just come up in the government and make a law that will wipe out a whole sector.
Correct.
Someone just say, I feel like making this particular law, and then the idea is targeted at a particular sector, and those businesses are wiped out. Innovation is wiped out. So the regulatory environment is actually very tough. And in Africa, I would likely say, I say again that regulatory agencies in Africa, what they eventually do is that instead of trying to help to build businesses, make them do better, I think around Africa, regulators think when they kill businesses or when they show their muscle that they are regulators, that's why they are doing their jobs. So they disconnect. While in other climes, in similar climes, regulators are looking at ways to ensure that businesses thrive. Because if businesses thrive, the economy can move, jobs can be created, unemployment is...
Right, because they ask themselves, we're going to make this policy. What are the businesses that are going to be affected by this? What percentage of our population do they employ? And those are very important things that every government should ask themselves before they make policies here. What are the biggest lessons you've learned so far?
Biggest lesson in entrepreneurship. I think the first lesson I've learned is you don't go into any business without first understanding the market. Market first. Understand the market. It's not business plan. Don't do business plans first. First, the market. There was a bank I was speaking to, I think a month or two ago, and he said, "Oh, we'd like to provide some funds to you, do a business plan." I said to the man, I said, "I don't do business plans. They are unrealistic. They are unrealistic, and I don't do business plans." And I said it very casually. Now, don't get me wrong. Business plans are still very great because they capture almost every part of the business. So, market first. Then after market, then you determine your business model. If I'm going to go into this thing, selling this thing, how am I going to make money? Am I going to be profitable? What are the margins involved? So when you figure out the market, the business model, how you're going to generate revenue, then you can think of, okay, let me build a business plan around this market and this business model to ensure I have a very good view of the entire part of the business. I think I also learned that there's a reward for building people and building businesses. I've been rewarded in a massive way. So building businesses, building people, building organizations, that's a reward. You don't have to put the reward first, but if you do it with your heart and put yourself on the job, you get results and you get rewarded for it. Great. I think these are some of the lessons I've learned.
Any last word for young aspiring entrepreneurs?
Young aspiring entrepreneurs. What I'll say to them is there are no secrets anywhere. Let me tell you my secret. There are no secrets anywhere. I think what people can just say is that for any successful entrepreneur, what they might probably have one or two things they are doing, which works for them. It might not work for you. What works for everybody is different. So that might probably be a secret or whatever it is, a success story, the secret behind the success. But generally, there are no secrets. I think the secret basically is be heavy on knowledge. Know the in and out of your business. If you're doing a business, you want to sell air, you want to sell shoes, you want to sell bags, know it. If you wake me up tomorrow to talk about poultry anywhere without any preparation, I'll just keep talking. So know the business first. And then secondly is be heavy on improving that knowledge and also be consistent. There's a power in being focused and convinced and committed. So I've been doing just poultry in the last 7 years. We've built 3 businesses around it. We're actually working on building a 4th one around the same poultry value chain. So there's nothing wrong if I go to other parts, but this is what I should be doing. I'm convinced I should be doing this. That's why I'm inside this thing, I'm doing it. So at the point tomorrow, I might have to do something else, but still, this will be working. So another thing about entrepreneurs is that before you go into another business or another sector or something else, ensure that what you did first, you build it properly and you don't kill it for something else. If something is working, keep doing it. Don't stop. Just keep doing it. Ensure it works. But finally, look for the reason why you want to do what you're doing so that when it's challenging, you know that, hey, I'm doing this thing because of this reason. I'm not giving up because challenges will come.
Correct.
I think that's what I would say to young and aspiring entrepreneurs.
Well done, brother. Thank you so much. We really, really salute your hustle. It's inspiring, and we hope that more people are blessed hearing this. And it gives somebody who is about to give up hope to understand that just be persistent, focus, and it will happen for you as well. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Anthony Owe. I'm an entrepreneur, and I sell chicken and eggs for a living. That's my hustle. What's your hustle?
We have learned a lot from him, and we hope it inspires more people to chase their dream and stay true to themselves. Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. With me on the show is Samson Ogbole. Samson, I hope I pronounced your last name properly.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
We thank you. Welcome to our channel. We're inspired to have you here, and we hope to learn a few things from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let's jump right to it, to the questions. Did you always want to be a farmer? Did you always say to you, I'm going to be a farmer? Is it something that you wanted to do?
No, if it's professionally, no. Having a small farm, a garden, yes, for like most typical Nigerians around my age group who grew up in the village, there was this whole thing of you wanted to have a small farm, but make it a profession, definitely not. That was not part of the vision. It wasn't even on the vision board.
Okay. Yeah. So now you've been doing this for a couple of years now. What inspired you to explore technology-driven agriculture?
So number one was health. When I say health of the people. As a trained biochemist, we realized early that when we take products and use them to run experiments in the lab, the result you get varies differently from when people consume same products. A typical example or a simple example that most people might relate with is tomatoes. Now, tomatoes contain something called lycopene. Now, that lycopene is supposed to be an antioxidant that helps in the prevention of prostate cancer in men. Now, what this would mean in reality would mean, for a country like Nigeria, where we consume a whole lot of tomatoes, the level of prostate cancer should be on the decline.
Right.
But the reality is the prostate cancer levels are on the increase. And this would mean one of two things. Either our schools lied or our tomatoes are not healthy. And when I did a bit of random sampling from the market, picking up produce and all of that to test, we realized that the issue was with the produce. But because I did not major initially in agri, I had no idea how to correct the produce. But fortunately, during my NYSC, I was posted to an Agric Institute, International Institute of Tropical Agriculture in Ibadan. And there I saw how farming is supposed to be done. And I could easily compare that to how farming was being done. So I saw the big loophole between what the norm should be and what the reality of the people was. Now, trying to get people to pick up agriculture to do it right, I quickly understood why agriculture was being done that way. For the farmer, their first call is money and food. Health is not in their areas of hierarchy. Now, if you needed to preach a new method of farming to people, it must first and foremost meet that bottom line for the farmer, which is profit. So whatever technology, whatever method you are going to tell the farmer to pick up that does not increase profitability will not be adopted. Because for them, you are the one saying this thing does not contain this, it does not contain that. They don't know. And for those that know, they don't care. So I realized that what I needed to use to bridge the gap was technology. And the technology must be able to meet that bottom line, increase money. So if I tell a farmer, this is technology A, use this technology, your money would increase. This is technology B, your money will not increase. Without thinking twice, they will pick technology A. So for the farmer, I don't need to preach to them about health. Just tell you there is a technology that can increase your wealth. And with that, as they pick it up and practice, we get the final end product, which is health.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I started, I mean, when we're growing up, your parents try to teach you farming. And it's like, oh,
yes,
I see us, But I'm older, I have my own son, and I find that farming is therapeutic for me. So I grow my own vegetables, I grow my own tomatoes, and I go online to check information how to grow them healthy, because now I'm more health conscious, I don't want chemicals on my fruits or something. And they're expensive to buy when you want to buy healthy fruit. They're expensive. So you end up planting them yourself. And there's this, the first time I grew something and I was able to, harvest it, and the fulfillment I got from it, I was like, so this is why farmers live long. to watch something grow and then to say, yes, I planted that. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
How would you explain smart farming?
So when we say smart farming, it's just people trying to find a touch way to put it. It's basically tech-based farming. Now, go from sector to sector, whether it is sports, music. Look at what they had in the 1930s and in the 1940s. When you come to agric in the 1930s and 1940s was also hoes and cutlass. In 2021, pick up a child that was giving birth to even 20 years ago and try to tell them what happened in the 30s and 40s. It feels like a fairy tale. Like, are you serious? People lived like this. So, but how then do we live in an era where in 2021, hoes and cutlass is still the tool for farmers? Now, when we say smart farming, what we are saying is a technology-based kind of farming that is in tandem with today's reality. So it's not, we are not saying go and get heavy machines, because let me make that very clear.
Smart farming is not go and buy 50 tractors, no. Because we also need to remember that majority of our farmers are smallholder farmers.
Yeah.
So we must be able to provide smarter tools that a smallholder farmer can afford to take care of monotonous activity. So there is something the farmer has to do every day, every day. He doesn't need to bend his back. He can buy a small tool that makes that work faster and much more efficient. So when we say smart farming, it's basically employing recent tools. And when we say recent tools, let me give an example. I'm glad you talked about your son. I believe that when you wanted to buy your son a phone, you did not start by buying the child a landline first in the name of, I want you to know how we got here. So first use a landline, then you use Toraya, then maybe a Sagem and a bed phone gradually before you get to Apple. No, you started him off with what is relevant now. The same way, if our agriculture is going to work and be at par with the rest of the world, we don't need to follow every step they have taken. We just need to plug in where the world is now and start from here.
You've explained
so
that.
that is smart farming.
You've explained it so well. I've never had anybody explain it that way, especially agricultural science. Thank you. You're an advocate for AI technology in agriculture.
Yeah.
Can you explain in layman terms how it's applied and how traditional farmers can access useful data? How these farmers
Awesome.
can access this data?
Yes, thank you. So when we say AI, let me first quickly say this because I know many listeners think once you hear AI, the next thought that comes to your head is robots. Artificial intelligence is not robots. Yes, robot is an aspect, robotics is an aspect of AI, but that is not all AI is about. It is much more than that. So for a farmer, let's look at a typical farmer's life. You want to plant in your soil. Before planting in the soil, there is something called soil test. Now, majority of farmers, I can say this anywhere, have never done soil test on their farm land. And what this means is you do not even know what the land contains to know what you are bringing in. Mm-hmm. So you might be introducing a fertilizer that the plant does not need. And when you introduce what the plant does not need, you are poisoning the plant and the environment. So we can have simple tools that I can just bring to my farm and run a simple soil test. That is one. Now, if I can run my soil test and I get the parameters and I know what they are, by default, I am able to apply the nutrient that is missing as opposed to what is on sale. So I could run my soil test and I realize that all that is missing in my land is boron, instead of me going to buy NPK. Because for most farmers, they just believe the only thing that plant needs is NPK, which is not true. There are over 14 nutrients a plant needs. NPK is just 3 of them. So that is one. 2, in the area of irrigation, I'll give an example, cucumber. When you are growing a cucumber plant requires about 1.6 liters of water per day. Now, for a farmer that is planting in soil, if I take 1.6 liters of water and pour inside that soil, that whole water does not belong to the plant alone. Some of the water will be lost through percolation or through drainage. Now, the issue with that is I may think my soil is wet, but yet my plant is starving, is thirsty. And as a result of that, it is going to affect its yield in the future. It will affect its nutritional content in the future. The same way, if I give it too much water, the same issue would happen. But I can have an irrigation system or even just a small sensor that is able to tell the farmer how much water is enough. Now, in the case of plants, there are also AI technologies available, even as simple as apps on the phone that you can just use to scan the plant.
Really?
And if it tell you this is what is wrong with the plant, this is what you should use to treat the plant. And you realize that what you are now using is an AI tech, because now you are not dependent on prayers alone, but rather you are depending on science to solve scientific issues. So now
you have to share that app with me, because really my tomatoes are growing and I don't see any fruits. It keeps growing really high and their flowers
now
are
when awesome. Now what that simply means is if your tomatoes keeps growing and it is flowering, but it just wants to keep growing, what the plant is telling you is your nitrogen level is too much. And if the nitrogen is too much, what you are telling the plant is grow leaves. So until you reduce the nitrogen, it will not fruit. Now, I'm even glad you brought this up. So imagine a typical farmer that is still applying NPK in Nigeria because you are told to apply NPK. Then the next thing is you start looking for Satan where there are no demons. That it has to be Satan why my plants are not fruiting. But the issue is the science has been neglected. And these sensors are not as expensive as people think it is. A soil test kit is as cheap as 30,000 naira. And it can run well over 40 samples. So it is not expensive. These are tools that you are supposed to give to the farmers that is much more sustainable to remove the guesswork.
Very interesting. By the time we finish this call, I'll go give my cucumbers some more water. I didn't realize they needed that much water.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So how can artificial intelligence disrupt the agricultural landscape? Because of course it has all its benefits, but how can it disrupt this landscape?
It's already disrupting. This is the reality we need to accept. I tell people this, though some people fight me anytime I say it, I say, Nigeria is not going to feed the world. Nigeria as a country is not going to feed Africa. It is any country that gets agric right that will feed Africa. It doesn't have to be Nigeria. Because you go to the US, the UK, Canada, Japan, very few of their population are farmers. Now, the reason why few of the population are farmers is because they have tools that can take care of the manual work. The few farmers take care of the brain work. But when you move down to developing and underdeveloped nations, the tools are people. So people are doing what machines are meant to do. Hence, a large proportion of the population are in farming, which is why poverty is also high. Now, with the introduction or with the coming of age of AI, machine learning and artificial intelligence, it is already disrupting every other sector. Agriculture will not be left behind. As some people believe that NASA is just up there in space, just because they want to say we are in space. One of the fundamental jobs of NASA in space is in agriculture. They are able to map out lands for countries that are part of them. They are able to say, okay, this is fertile, this is the kind of crop that we go here, this should not go here. For a country like ours, we do not have anybody in space looking out on our behalf. Dr. Ogbole that works with NASA is not working for Nigeria in NASA. She's just a Nigerian working in NASA for the US. So it means that we have no backup at the top. So the question then is, what can we do on the ground? If we are not looking at the job that these tools are going to help us accomplish, then we are shooting ourselves in the foot of food security this time around. Because AI will play a huge role in crop production. It will play a huge role in the right choice of seed, play a huge role in crop management, play a huge role in pest and disease.
I'm learning a lot, like I keep writing. So now we come to something that you're very familiar with, that is your area of specialty. What is soilless farming? And is it, do you think it is sustainable in Nigeria? I mean, you're doing soilless farming already, but how sustainable is it in Nigeria?
So soilless farming is basically growing plants without the use of soil. We just create alternative substrates that we can use that can perform the main function of soil, which is support the plant, retain water, and allow for aeration, because we know that soil itself does not provide nutrients. Now, two, let me also say this clearly, which is soilless farming is not a way to replace soil. It is a way to complement soil.
Okay.
And the reason why we say it is complementing soil, one of the first casualty of civilization in every part of the world is agriculture. Anytime civilization comes, you push away the farmers because their method of farming does not align with what you are trying to build, with the aesthetics you want to bring into the area. So it means that our farms needed to go to school to be educated so that they can fit into that serene environment. Number two, using Nigeria as a case study, we do not have the best roads in the world. Now, it is easier to have farms in the city and closer to the city for producing perishable goods so that we can circumvent the bad roads, circumvent the storage issues, circumvent the distance between markets and the farms. Now, is this something sustainable? Yes. Lots of people are picking it up. Our first push or drive is everybody should be able to grow something.
So I'm an advocate when it comes to farming yourself, growing your own thing, no matter how small. It's very good because the way the world is going and with the current security issues in Nigeria, every household should know how to garden because who knows what happens next.
Very true.
So,
very true.
What challenges would you say you face when you're trying to educate people about the use of data and how they can transition from to soilless farming, at least some part of their crops?
From data, the issue with data is, like I said, people are about the money. And data does not translate to money on a short-term basis. So it's always what's it called? An Herculean task, trying to make them see, okay, just collect this information, just keep collecting. One day it will make sense. One day it will make sense. Somehow it will make sense. So what we try to do is start off with them collecting data for things that will not take their time. It could be as simple as telling them every time rain falls, just mark it. Rain fell on Monday, just mark a stroke one. At the end of the year, we'll now say, okay, rain fell at so number of times in the year. Then we can now do our extrapolation and say, okay, based on this, this is what you should expect next year. By the following year, when it follows that pattern, now they are much more interested. Okay, what more can we collect so that we can predict the future better? Then when it comes to soilless farming, I think the first issue we had to overcome when I started was getting people to realize that we were not demonic because they felt, no, this is not natural. Then this has to be satanic. This has to be demonic. And that was the first thing. I mean, it sounds funny today, but that was the first thing. Like, it wasn't just from, this was not just something from illiterates, because it's very important I clear that up.
Are you kidding me? Because that's the last thing I expected you to say.
Is this not demonic? You are going against, this was not from illiterates now. This came from some religious sects, whichever religious they practice that, no, this is not what was written. You are going against the norm. The traditionalist goes, oh, you are going against culture. This is not right. So we have to take time to explain step by step. And of course, with a whole lot of confusion flying around, we have to take step by step to explain that, see, this is still natural. Okay, you go and bring your this, plant it like this. Then watch it grow. Now it is growing. Are we using soil? No. Oh, now I believe. So that was the first major hurdle we had to cross. The next hurdle we had to cross was, is it healthy? Again, that took a while. Now we are at the level of people asking, is it profitable? How profitable? Which is a good place to be in.
Okay.
When it comes to anything technology. When people are at the level of asking, is it profitable? How profitable? You know you have won the battle.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't need any holy water.
No.
Love it. Okay, so I understand that soilless farming uses hydroponic, aquaponic, and aeroponic methods. Which would you advise farmers in Nigeria to deploy?
So what I tell people to, when I next week, for example, we are starting a class for free where we teach hydroponics and aquaponics. And I tell people hydroponics has about 8 different methods. Aquaponics has about 5 to 6 different methods. And when I teach, I always remind them, what I am teaching you is a principle, not something to replicate. Take the principle, go back to your house, apply what we call ABCD, asset-based community development. So I tell them, look at the assets around your community. See what you have available that you can use to replicate this technology.
Yeah.
So, and in picking, you want to pick something that is cheap for you to start and cheaper for you to run. So understand the principle, but domesticate it and replicate it in your locality.
Okay, good, clear. In your opinion, what role must the government play in preparing farmers for a future driven by technology?
Number one is information. Inform the people. Inform the people. Number two, invest in sustainable infrastructure. It is short-sightedness to keep giving out fertilizers year in, year out, because you give a farmer fertilizer today, you will give him again tomorrow. You will give him again next year. But look at, there are sustainable things that can be done that will help the farmers. So yeah, that's it basically. Inform and build sustainable structures, and make sustainable structures available.
You're right. I had a guest from renewable energy sector, and her company, they take this product to the rural environment. I was so surprised where she's introducing solar to them, and they've started using it, and some of them are resellers of the company. So I think when we start things on the grassroots, they understand before it gets to the city, they're already deploying that. And so when she was talking,
exactly,
it was very fascinating. I think that's the right step. For those who don't know, please tell us about Eupepsia Place Limited and what makes it unique.
So what we do basically at Eupepsia Place is technology enablement for agriculture. That is it basically. Our uniqueness is we believe technology has a huge role to play, but we do not believe technology is the answer. So let me explain that. If I have calculator in an exam hall, my calculator is not the answer. If I don't know the answer, if I don't know what I am doing and I type in the wrong numbers, the calculator will give me the right answer, but what I am getting will still be wrong. So we understand that technology is just an enabler for agriculture, full stop.
You're sometimes referred to as Ambassador Sam. Could you tell us a bit about how that came about, how you came about this nickname?
Well, because I am close to one of the Nigerian ambassadors of agriculture and the current ambassador of Nigeria to the UN for peace, Ambassador Shola Adeniyi. So he's my mentor, I'm his son. So because people are just like, ambassador's son is Ambassador Sam. So that's how the name came about.
Well, it's a name that fits very well because I really like it. I'm sure that our viewers have learned a lot from you today. When I speak to you, you remind me so well of one of my guests, the founder of Data Science Nigeria, Dr. Olubayo Adekombi. And when you guys teach, it's like it makes somebody wants to go buy something and start farming immediately, or just grab a computer and start learning. So we really thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you, and we hope
you so much.
Have learned a lot from you, and will take this into and deploy it into their own private lives or their businesses to grow agriculture in Nigeria and across, because I'm sure it's not just Nigerians watching. So we hope a few people have learned something valuable. Thank you, because we sure have.
I am Farmer Samson Ogbole. Farming is my hustle. What is your hustle?
I had so much fun speaking to him, listening to him respond to details that we sometimes overlook. If you don't have a garden, go get one now. And while you're at it, check out those apps. It's going to help you grow your crops in the modern age. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, all at Niger Hustle. Click the notification bell to alert you on upcoming videos that we bring to you every week. We might be bringing a hustler that will be talking about your favorite topic or something that you really want to hear about. So follow us on all our platforms. You know what we say? What's your hustle?